All right, so I was going to explain to you guys a simple strategy. Probably most of you guys probably uh, have learned it before. Uh, if for the Spanish guys, if you guys don't understand, let me know and I could do it in Spanish as well. What happened? Probably all seen that picture. Okay. Anyways, um, so the strategy is range based. A lot of you guys probably know it. I don't know if anybody here has ever traded the opening range breakout. Was anybody here? No, not really. Well, I don't know. I don't really follow anymore as much. So there's a lot of ways people trade it, right? A lot of people sometimes use the 5 minute opening range. Sometimes use the yeah, a lot of options, guys. Back when I used to trade options, I used to do a lot of opening range breakouts trades. Sí, la de 15 minutos. Yeah. Yeah. So básicamente algunos usan el 5. I'm gonna go Spanish and English, guys, just so people can understand it. So some people use the 5 minute, and some use 15 minute, right, range. I even seen people like I don't know if you guys know Coach J on Top Step. He uses the 3 minute range. So it's just different, ranges they used for the opening range breakout. And basically, the most common one is the 15 minute, right, opening range. So basically, what it is pretty easy. Today, right, on the 15 minute, what you're gonna do is mark the low, right, for the first 15 minute candle, right, and you're gonna mark your high, the 15 minute candle. Okay. In this case, for this day, right, we have the top, the high, right, the first 15 minute, and basically, how a lot of people use it is they want a break out of this range of this first 15 minute candle. So they'll wait for market to settle before taking a trade, right? So in this case, they're gonna mark their high, the low, right, and wait for one side to be broken, right? In this case, it was the upside. So what you want to do, and most traders do, is they wait for this breakout to happen and then come and retest the high of that candle or the high of the orb, right? In this case, it's a 15 minute. So it's the 20,293 in this case, right? So they'll mark, they'll answer in this area as their entry. For the Spanish guys, do you guys understand? Or you want me to spend it in Spanish? No answer? Sí, vamos, te los voy a explicar de nuevo. So, esta estrategia es de 15 minutos. Hey, Robinhood, do you speak English or Spanish? I'm not sure. Or you speak both? Oh, los dos, okay. Entonces, esta estrategia es básico de un rango, ¿verdad? De 15 minutos. Marcas lo alto de la vela, lo bajo de la vela, ¿verdad? Y ese será tu rango de 15 minutos, ¿verdad? So, la estrategia es básicamente buscar una entrada donde quiebre sea el bajo o el alto. I'll do English right now. You did it. Básicamente vas a estar tu entrada, por ejemplo, en este caso, vas a esperar a que quiebre este rango, ¿verdad? Entonces de 15 minutos, entonces vas a esperar a que regrese a este alto nivel, ¿verdad? De esta vela, y aquí vas a agarrar tu entrada, ¿verdad? Básicamente. Y lo que vas a hacer, pues, de ahí vas a agarrar tu nivel de la ganancia sería quizás lo que tú uses como estrategia, sería quizás un weekly open o oferta o demanda, ¿verdad? Un turncoat o quizás liquidez, ¿verdad? Quizás un nivel de bookmap, también puedes hacer eso, ¿ok? Nah, you're gonna do a Viet right now, and then Pam's gonna come in and she's gonna do Portuguese. Okay. All right, back to English. All right, so technically you want this to break out, right? Come back and retest, right? The high of this opening range breakout on the 15-minute. And you'll get your entry right here, right? And basically after that, you're gonna enter, right, with the good risk management. And basically you could take it to, like, in this case, if this is a long entry, obviously you want to take it to maybe like a supply zone. You could take it to a weekly open, monthly open, whatever strategy you use where you're going to TP, or even if you're going to use extended hours, you could take it to the maybe Asia high or London high, right? In this case. Um, so this is basically what you want to enter right here at the retest of this candle. Okay. Does everybody are on the same page right now with the strategy? Or do you guys need some explaining? ¿Entendieron la estrategia? Can you go to the... I'm going to time my rapid for a little bit, like 10 minutes. All right. Sounds good. All right. Sounds good. All right. Very good. So in this case, you can see today's, right? If we mark the high, we mark the low. Right? So basically, what you're going to want to do is you got your 15-minute candle here, right? You're going to wait for this break, right? You have your candle, this next candle, this one closes above the opening break range, and this is your candle that's going to retest this high of a candle, right, or 15-minute range. This is where you're going to get your entry, right there, okay? And take long. In this case, right, if we go to extended hours real quick, right, you could have taken a TP right here, right, Asia high, right there, from here to there. Essentially, you want to, one way to use the strategy is looking for that breakout, either for the upside or the downside, okay? We can look at another example. I mean, I'll show you guys some other way you can basically trade this. So here, it's just easier. Oh man. Wake up, Saul. All right, here's another example, right? We got our first 15-minute candle. We got our high. We got our low. Oops. Uh, there we go. We got high, low, right? So basically, we're gonna wait for this retest and take our TP, right? In this case, we have a gap here. We could easily take it in here if we held, but it did retrace on us, right? So we could got a second entry right here, right? Once we retested this high of the candle, we could take another long entry up to gap fill for RTH. Let's see. Oh, I didn't even know there was a lot of questions. Let me see. La candela tiene que ser de 15 minutos. La que cierra fuera de la candela de 15 minutos puede ser de 5 minutos. Puede ser de 5 minutos. Porque si vamos aquí, podemos ver cómo reacciona. ¿Viste? Puede ser de 5 minutos también. ¿Viste? Como que esté aquí en este nivel, arriba de ese nivel, aquí puedes poner tu entrada, ¿verdad? En este caso puedes manejar quizás tu riesgo como a la mitad de este rango. Oh, that's where I'm going to go right now. Okay. Yeah, let me see. I usually do trade on the 5 minute, so like you can actually go on a lower time frame and look for your entry if you don't want to look for that. But essentially, the first 15 minutes, right, will be your high, your low. I mark this one a little bit wrong. Should be right up here. So in this case, right, if you go on the 5 minute, right, you can see. Or if you go on the 1 minute, right, same thing. Right. Okay. At the bottom of the range, no, you can do half of the range actually if you want a nice tight stop. And I'm going to show you guys right now what that looks like. Okay. And also, I'm going to show you where you can actually TP. All right. So if we delete this right now. So this is the indicator we have, right? Okay. For example, right, right. Obviously, this is RTH, right? I'm just doing it for easier for me. I don't want to go all the way back. But if I was playing longs on here, right, you can put your stop, once you enter, you can put your stop at the half the range, right? Or at the most recent, prior low, which is this candle right here, which is 180 ticks, or you can go for half the range, right? Then in this case, it would be 266 ticks. But if you're going to go for 266 ticks, you want to go for a 1-to-1 as well, right? So in this case, your first TP would have been right there, 139, right? And this is where I pretty much TP with Randy this morning, right? So how this looks like ETH hours is right here, right? So pretty much this is where I TP 148, right? So right there. So 300 ticks, right? From there to there. But if you want to go for that low candle right here, you could go 180. Okay. So you can either risk half the range, the candle, the lowest candle, or half the range, right? But keep in mind, this is 260 ticks. So if you're going with the one mini, you're risking a lot as well. So you just gotta be mindful about that, right? We're going to this side, right? Sometimes you're not gonna get a touch, right? A re-entry of the low when it breaks. So what you gotta do is wait for another candle to open right outside of the range, right? In this case, if I go half the range, that's 180 ticks, right? So at least go for 180, right? Somewhere right there. And then you can go full range, right? In this case, we're looking at this real time. That's about 250 ticks, right? So your second TP would be about 250 ticks, right? Obviously, we went even lower, right? Look at this. Once we went out of the range, right? You could TP a lot more. Let me see. Here, the same thing, right? So there's going to be cases where it doesn't break as easily, as you can see right here, right? We came down, right? We almost double touched the range a couple times. So in this case right here, right? And then we came down as well. You can see right here too, right? If you would have gone short right here without actually letting the candle close underneath this low, you would have got stopped out, obviously, right? Once it breaks, the perfect entry is going to be when it breaks, right? Retests the low or the high, right? And then it doesn't go up, right? I know Scarska's interested because he's been talking about the orb on this one. He's asking a lot of questions. But yeah, the perfect entry would be once it closes underneath the orb. Even better if it retests it. Yeah. Uh, this is just a strategy that I'm sharing that I used to use with options. It's not necessarily that I do this. I do look at it, but not necessarily, this is the only thing that I use for trading, obviously. Okay. And the reason for that, you got to be careful because sometimes, a lot of times, especially with NQ, you guys know it does a lot of reversals. In this case, right? So I'm going to share something with you guys. Okay, that might be some valuable information. Okay, you guys look at this edgeful information stat sheet right here that I posted on the comments. Right here, you can see on the NQ opening range breakout, there's sometimes we call a double break, 68% of the time, right? At least between 2019 and 2024, right? We have about 889 double breaks, right? And only 225. What does that mean? Well, that means there was a double break on the orb, does that look like? Well, let's go back. I'll give you guys an example. Look at that. Let's see if we can go back a little bit more. I'm gonna find a good example on this right here. Okay. So meaning that it broke to the downside, right? And it broke to the upside. Same day. Right? In this case, you can see right here on this 15-minute orb right here, right? We broke to the downside and then we came back into range and then we took the upside too as well. That's what that means, a double break. Right? Now, a single break will be, obviously it only broke to one side. In this case, it was this one, the downside. Right? Never touched the upside. So keep in mind that with NQ, right, a lot of times it might do a double break. You can see right here too, as well. Right? Once it formed, right, you can see here's the 15-minute range. We broke to the upside, and then we came back down to the downside. Right? As well as here. And then we finally broke up to the upside. So keep in mind the NQ might do a double break. Right? On this one, we can see that it broke to the downside, came back in to half the range, and then it actually up from there. Right? So that was a single break. So just be careful if you do get a double break, like in this case, right here. Now, where do you TP? Well, let me see. Carrasco, you trade the orb, right? No, es de 6:30 a 6:45. 6:30 a 6:45. Yeah, so it's 6:30. If you're in the Pacific, it's 6:30 to 6:45. If you're in Eastern, it's 9:30 to 9:45. Muy bien. Excelente. Oh, okay. TP because I have an account that has a trailing drawdown and I can't be holding trades. Well, okay. If you're gonna go for the breakout, I would say put your stop, right as soon as it goes into the range, or a 5-minute candle, right? That goes into the range, because you already know that you might be in the wrong if it goes back into range. Uh, so I would suggest doing that or putting it here if you're small size, right? What I'm going to do right now is show you where some of the TPs that you can take. Tiempo central es 7:30, 7:45. Central. Híjole. ¿Qué horas son ahorita, bro? A las 11. Ah, entonces, sí. 7:30, 7:45. Muy bien. Muy bien. Excelente. All right. So where are you going to TP? Well, I have this indicator, right? And we're going to go off the like, deviations, right? On the range, right? For example, right? So your first TP on here, once it broke, right, will be, actually, let me go on prices, right? Actually, I think it did. Where's the latest one? All right, right? So in this case, your first TP would have been right here at 2139.75 for the upside, right? Boom, right there. If we did come back and retest and you got another entry, right? Same thing, right? Obviously, you would have held some runners, but it did not get to that second TP, right? But if you came back and do another re-entry once it tested this high of the orb, right? High of the candle, then your TP again would be at 139, and then hold some for 207. Okay, let's go to the side. Same thing here, right? Your first TP would have been I gotta go back into replay, right? So your first TP would have been 382. Your second TP would have been 351, and so forth. So a lot of times I would risk if I'm gonna go for a 1-to-1, I'm gonna actually go for this TP, right, and risking half this range. Most of the time it's gonna go for that 0.5. Okay. And then your second TP would be this one, which would be a full range, right? Out of that orb, which would be 351. Right? So in this case, this is how it would look like. If you got it right at the low, like if you got like a limit order set here, this is what it would look like. Right? So that'd be only 121.6, but if you went full range, that'd be 246, right? And you can put your stop loss right at the same entry. Anything above this is just pretty much free money, right? And then once we touch this 3 deviation, right, we bounced off, he came back, and then we dumped a little more. The day that it gets you is when it wicks the double break you're talking about. Like this, but it didn't close. Look, see, even on the 5 minute right here, like this didn't close. Like if it waked you out right here, it's because you didn't wait for the candle to close, right? So obviously, and then now that you know about that stat that a lot of times NQ is gonna double break, you gotta be careful, right? Like for example, if you would have got stopped out. You would have got stopped out right here if you shorted, and you would have got stopped out right here if you longed. Okay? Why? Just because you didn't wait for it to close above the orb. Remember, in Q, looking at stats, right? In 5 years, we have 889, right? Double breaks. So if you know that information, then wait for it to break out of the range before taking the trade. This is not even closing. This is just the wick right here. Like the closing candle is right here. This is your closing candle right there. Like if you're gonna wait for the candles to close, then it did not close above, right? If you're looking for a close for the downside, right, on the 15-minute, right, both of these, this is your close for this candle right here, and this is your close over here for that green candle, right? So both of those, all three of these candles did not close above the open range breakout. So in that case, if you're gonna go for the breakout, then you're not gonna take a trade because none of those candles, right, close above it. Now, even this candle, this little wick right here, this close right here, this close underneath here, this one close above, right? So this is where you would have probably taken your entry, right? So in this case, you would have probably, if you enter on the close of that candle right there, right, with the stop right here of 126, and let's say you go ahead, you got 2 micros, right? So this will be your first TP right here, 128 ticks, and your second TP right there, 230 ticks. Okay, and you can see as soon as we hit that full deviation, boom, we came back. But once we retested this, look at this. Once we retested, you could have taken another entry right here, right? TP here, and you could probably held one here and probably stopped out in profit if it came back to this TP. Right? Yeah, just wait for them to close because there's a double break that could potentially be happening, right? But even with the double break, you know, like for example, all right, let's go back to that example. This is a good one. Now, if you want to play the double break, then you will take your entry right here, right? Right there, right? And probably your stop loss right there. That's if you want to play the double break, right? That's another way to play this. If it fails to go underneath, right, there's a high chance it might do a double break, okay? So what do? You're gonna target half this range, and then you're gonna target this range right there. Full range. That's it. Now, if you want to take it higher, I mean, that's up to you, right? You can target this as well and leave some runners, right? But that's up to you. But at least take 0.5. Let me see. Do you wait because pre-market high is near? What do you mean? If I trade the 50-minute OR, I mark the 5-minute OR. Also, can I enter the break and close the 5-minute and then, you know what? Actually, I don't really trade the 5-minute OR, to be honest with you. Yeah, I don't know the information on that, and I haven't really back tested 5-minute as much as I've done with 15 minutes. But I mean, yeah, I mean, you can wait for a 5-minute, you know, candle to close above or below to take your entry. But you have to do your own back testing on that to see how good it is. Okay. That's to break a pre-market high. Where are you talking about? Which one? Oh yeah, yeah. So Diesel, you can use it as well. You know, it's it's not simply just training off the 15 minute and that's it. You can use other things, right, in order to test this or the way you want to actually trade it, right? So I mean, if you want to use if you want to use a 5 minute, 1 minute for a rally gap to take your entry, yeah, no, you can. You know, I mean, everybody trades differently, but everybody can make monies in different ways. This is something that I just wanted to teach you guys. Um, this is something I would do a lot when I was doing options. Um, and then you just use those deviations as target points. On the indicator, you can actually adjust this, right? You can mark your zone, by your high and low, X and your levels, and you can change your what do you want your TPs to be, right? I go usually by 0.5 to 3. I mean, you can do longer targets if you want. It's up to you. This is the same indicator I use for my London range setup as well. O con el indicador, bro, que tenemos. Ya, como por ejemplo, mira, así. Para poner las líneas y eso, los marcas Akira. Entonces, si los hago unclick, ya no están. Entonces, pero si los quiero poner de nuevo, más le hago así. Y si quieres, si no quieres todos los, por ejemplo, si nomás quieres quizás del punto 5 al 1, ¿verdad? Entonces, realmente si no quieres ya más de eso, nomás lo quitas. Y así nomás tienes dos tipos, dos niveles de ganancias. Muy bien, excelente, ¿no? Oh, no, sí, pero sí, este viene con todo esto, ya. Incluso para la estrategia de Londres que tengo, pues nomás cambias el horario y ya te sirve para Londres también. No sé si alguna vez les enseñé la estrategia de Londres, pero lo único que harías. No, it's mine. I made it. It's private. Yeah. You would have to actually, you have to actually get it. You can go on our WAP and get it. I think Tank could probably help you guys out. Yeah, if you take my mentorship, it's free for lifetime with the indicator because I'm going to show you other range strategies with it so you can use it. Where, for example, there's a strategy that I use where price goes 76% of the time, and that's one of the strategies that I use with this indicator. So I'll show you what to look for. But yeah, you'll get it for free, obviously. if you take the mentorship. Now, if you already have the VIP, it's only, I believe, $15 more with the indicator. Yeah, it's on the WAP. It's all the information's on there. This is something me and Tank were working on before even we launched the Discord. Yeah. So yeah, this is something you guys can use, right? Uh, uh, let's go right here. Look, you can see right here, right? We didn't even get to 0.5 deviation when it was already starting to go back into range, right? So you could have got longs here. Your TP would have been half this range, right? So in this case, right, we go long from this area right there, right? Obviously, this is about 300, right? So maybe the lower of the candle right there, right? That's 200. At least you're gonna make 320 and 600 ticks right there. Si tienes VIP son nomás $15. Si ya tienes el VIP. Si no tienes VIP son 25. Y por el año son 250. Si tomas la mentoría es gratis. Yeah. And there's going to be another class with, next week we have NFP. I'm sure Tang's going to do a NFP and CPI class on how to trade the news. And he's probably going to use the same indicator and show you guys how to trade news days. Same indicator, different strategy. Based on the news. Okay. You guys have any questions? No. All right. Sounds good. Carrasco. Look at this entry right here. Break, retest, right? 25 here. Full TP here. I mean, if you want to help for the ages, like I do sometimes, overnight, right there. For back testing, how far should I go back to test it? If you really want to test it, 12 months. But it's going to take you a long time. But you can try it, just try it like on the live markets. You can do that too. What I would suggest is do it on the weekends, when the markets close and back test it. You can even use our indicator to back test. What you're gonna do is basically, and it's easier if you do RTH because you don't have to go through extended hours, right? It takes a little longer, right? With RTH, it's like right there. So once this candle closes, right, if you're doing like a, right, so this will be your next opening candle, right? Instead of you doing, oh, RTH, right? So this, in this case, right, on Wednesday, this will be your candle close, and then you go straight into the next day instead of trying to go from like 1 all the way to 6:30. But I would suggest maybe doing like 1 or 2 months per weekend, or 1 month per weekend. Let me show you. Let me show you guys. If I have this. Let's see if I have the. One second, guys. Here it is. Something like that, right? You'll see back testing, right, each day. Maybe do a month to month Carrasco. Let me see. We do not have it on our indicator, but I could always add stuff. So that's if that's something people would like, then we could add it. Well, yeah, a lot of times. But the only thing for that one is you would have to go for extended hours instead of RTH. All right, guys. Any questions left? No. Okay. Bien. ¿Alguna pregunta, Luis? Robin Hood? No. Okay. All right. Yeah. That's pretty much it, guys. Yeah. I have one more question, so I tried to use both ways. I see there's a red zone in area, but it keeps going the opposite way. What do you mean goes the opposite way? I'm not understanding that. Yeah, I'm not understanding the question. I mean, you can't go solely off Boomag, bro. You have to use other conferences. I mean, even if there's a lot of stuff that it's in there. This is just spoofing orders. It's not even true orders. They just want you to. If there's, let's say, there's a big order at, for example, right there at 19,995. Let's say there's 300 orders there. It could be a spoofing order just to make you get longs, and then it reverses down. Like you gotta be careful also with Pokemon. But you can't really trust it as with all your entries. That's always gonna hit those levels. There are spoofing orders in there. If it was like pretty easy, everybody would just use Bookmap. You may think that there was no zone at 960. Maybe there was. Somebody could probably seen a favorite rally gap. Somebody could see a demand zone in there. An order block. Good night, bro. Good night, bro. You're welcome, bro. You guys want the indicators on the top. No problem. All right, guys. That was it. Thank you for showing up. I think we'll be on the live tomorrow. So show some love. And we have our official DJ, Marks, resident DJ. I think that's his name. I like. Yeah. So with this indicator, you're gonna be able to use this strategy. You're gonna be able to use the London range, the Azer range. Um, you can also use the news range that um, Hank's gonna use. And then with me, there's one, two, three, four, about five other strategies with ranges that you can use this indicator on with my mentorship. Obviously, that's what I teach. If you guys know, I'm a big range trader. Right? All right, guys. Sleep tight. It's 11. I'll see you guys. Maybe I'll try again on a live when I can. Yeah. I'll see you guys in the main chat. All right. Thanks. Later.